So what kind of got you into the clothing business?
All right, so Threatcon 5 Clothing is a veteran awareness clothing company.
Mm-hmm.
We our tagline is addressing the threats that are affecting the veteran community. I was working for another company, and I decided to venture out on my own, and I just wanted to start giving back to the veteran community, helping in any way possible, addressing things like PTSD, TBIs, soldier suicide, veteran suicide, homelessness, different things like that. So I started the company, and basically, decided between me and the guy that was helping me at the time, not necessarily a partner, just somebody that was helping me out with graphics and designing stuff on the computer until I got some programs that I understood enough. And we decided that we weren't going to make a profit off of this. So every dollar that we bring in goes right back into the veteran community, whether it be through donations for certain shirt sales or helping a veteran in need. I make enough through my retirement and disability from the military that I don't have to worry about it. So that's what I do. I just give it all back to the veteran community.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were in the military, and we had a little chat about that a little bit ago. So let's talk about your background a little bit.
22-year retired Army combat veteran. Enlisted in 1990, retired in 2012. Good math, right? Got to do what I wanted to do, serve the country, get an education, travel, see the world. So it was something I would do all over again, without a doubt. Yeah.
What did you do in the Army or the military?
You had it right the first time.
Okay.
In the Army. I enlisted originally in the National Guard. I was a Cav Scout, went to Ranger School, ended up getting hurt, and I had to reclass. So I was a petroleum supply specialist for the first 9 years of my career, and then I got put on recruiting duty, and I got hurt pretty bad, messed my back up on a physical fitness test of all things, and was told I was either going to have to be medically boarded out of the Army or I could stay on recruiting duty. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do because I converted in January of 2001 to be a full-time recruiter, and as we know, 9 months later, the largest attack on American soil affecting the civilian population. I didn't want to be there. I was putting young men and women into the Army that were going to go over and serve and, lose their lives as I carry them with me every day. It was rough. It was really tough to be doing that, having to explain to parents that, their sons and daughters were going to be put in harm's way and what have you. So I was able to get out of recruiting in 2009, and I went back to operational Army and finished my career. I was actually able to deploy, which I believe was the exclamation point on my career, because otherwise I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So, and then I retired and had a couple jobs that I wasn't very successful at until I decided to start my own business. I attribute it to what everybody says. You get up into the ranks and you're a higher ranking guy, and you get out and somebody has to tell you what to do now, and you're like, I don't know all about that. So, Once I started to build myself up, I had a name in the veteran community. People were able to associate me, Chad, as this persona. I was known as Bulldog. I still am. And I just started making a name for myself in the veteran community. People knew who I was. I started having a voice, one that, as humbling as it is, has been like completely crazy, to the point where I go to these events and I'm a VIP at it, and people are coming up and shaking my hand and thanking me for the things I do. But it's just awesome to be able to help so many people in the veteran community. I do my company, Threatcon 5 Clothing. I'm also a radio host on Veteran Radio Syndicate, so I have my own show where I'm addressing issues and talking to things and getting out there. So it's pretty cool. It's definitely different. Yeah.
Veteran Radio Syndicate. It sounds really familiar, because I follow a lot of the veteran communities online, and it sounds really familiar.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
We've We started in February, and we are like number 2 in comedy
That's pretty
in
good.
the country. Yeah, we have a number of shows. I mean, we're talking about shows with members of Grunt Style. We've got shows with members of Five Bravo, John Burke.
Yeah, I was gonna say John Burke's one. I definitely knew that one.
Yeah, he's got his own show on our network. Yeah, we've got a bunch of quote unquote, I hate the word, but veteran celebrities that are hosts and members of some of those shows on our network. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You're able to, find a good coping mechanism and a release for, things that you're dealing with, because you're listening to and, getting advice from people that have been there in your shoes, understand exactly what you're going through, and they're able to, help you deal with things, whether it be, anxiety or depression or PTSD or TBIs, anything. I mean, we've got a number of guys that, tune in just so that they have a release and, can laugh.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, laughter is probably the best way to deal with, any mental, I hate to call it an illness, but I mean, it is what it is, you're suffering. But, PTSD, you find that coping mechanism, and, it is what it is, so.
Yeah. So I've noticed that since I've been out, having someone to talk to is just not there. There's no the VA, that's not what they're for.
Well, they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be. They're supposed
But,
to be.
and then finding other, even veterans to even talk to, just in your day-to-day life is fairly rare.
Yeah.
Unless you're in college and then everyone there is.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right.
the thing is that, and that's one of the things that I would say that not only Threatcon 5 Clothing is trying to do, and in this, it's going to sound weird, and a lot of people actually question this. They're like, why are you guys always doing this? And it's not just me. It's not just Threatcon 5 Clothing. It's Grunt Style. It's Five Bravo. It's Texas Revolution. We are all quote unquote competitive companies, but we're all in it together. We're actually all trying to spread the same message. It's like the old saying that we heard in Afghanistan, Shana Bashana. Shoulder to shoulder. We're standing there. We've all got the intentions of helping the veteran community out, regardless of what our differences are in the products that we're selling. But we do all come together. I've gone to Grunt Style events, members of Five Bravo. I was just in Chicago on the 30th of July for Grunt Style's Grunt Fest 2, and I was there with Adam Calhoun. He's not a veteran, but Adam Calhoun, Rudy Reyes, Drew Hernandez, the combat veteran. Have you seen his videos?
Which one?
Combat veteran?
Maybe.
Oh,
I've seen so many.
He's a hoot. He's a hoot. His company is called the Combat Veteran. He does all the videos of like the top 10 soldiers in the barracks.
Okay.
Yeah. Yusha Thomas. All these guys. We're all trying to push the same message that the veteran community. We're 20 million strong, which in comparison to the rest of the population, I mean, there's your 1%. You're 1 to 3% of the population that's actually donned the uniform. So we've got to stick together, and like you said, it's hard to find them. Why? Because a lot of the veterans in the community don't want to be out there broadcasting, hey, I was a veteran, because the stigmas that are associated with things like PTSD and, other type medical issues, that people want to draw a assumption as to what we're going through. And the VA is not helping because they're misdiagnosing and they're giving, what we like to call VA Skittles. They're giving you meds rather than dealing with the issues. And I think it's a huge issue throughout the country as a whole because, rather than, putting the emphasis on what truly is the issue, mental disorders or illnesses, people want to quickly assume that it's a gun problem, instead of addressing that the individual had issues, and the veteran community is suffering for that, But, so we're doing stuff like, our VA shirts. I do a VA shirt. It shows a skeleton on the front kind of laying there, and on the back it says, I'm just sitting here waiting for my VA claim to be approved. I mean, it's a real issue, we're not trying to, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of humor to it, but it's addressing a real issue. You know, there are members of the military veteran community that are dying waiting for treatment.
And very recently too.
Oh yeah, you know, and it's just all these stories that are coming out. You know, recently a soldier killed himself in the VA parking lot waiting for treatment. I mean, it's unacceptable, and it needs to be addressed. You know, the 22 a day, that number is actually probably closer to, you know, 36 to 40. But, you know, my thing is, and we do a shirt for it, is 22, 32, 52, 102. It doesn't matter. One is too many. You know, and it's an issue that people want to say, well, you know, we're past awareness. No, we're not past awareness. Until I can walk down the street and talk to every person that I run into and say, do you know what the 22 a day is? And when every one of them knows what the 22 a day is, then we're past awareness. Until then, until everybody knows, it's an issue that needs to be addressed. You know, the civilian population needs to know, because we can't address this on our own, especially being that, you know, the majority of the veteran community is looked upon as a threat to the, you know, government anyway. You know, so the government's not going to listen to us. They consider us a threat. So we have to get the civilian population on our side to make them understand that we are in fact suffering. You know, there are soldiers that are killing themselves on active duty. There are veterans that are killing themselves in the civilian sector due to misdiagnosis and, you know, the invisible wounds of combat. And people need to know that. You know, and that's what Threatcon 5 Clothing is doing, and that's what you know, Veteran Radio Syndicate's doing, and what all these other companies that are, you know, in this with me. So it's an important thing. You know, we have to address these things. So. But I mean, like I said, we try to do the humor aspect. I've got some India Delta, Golf Alpha Foxtrot shirts, you know, but we've done different things like, and I can show you some of it afterwards too. We did a play on a concert T-shirt, you know, like the '80s, the old, you know, black sleeves, white middle. In the back, it looked like a tour shirt, but it was all the cities that we had conflicts or battles in Iraq and in Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
We did the 22 shirt back in January, but now I'm doing the one too many. I think that one sends the better message. You know, just different things. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, you know, which I thought was going to blow up when that movie came out, but that movie was so bad.
Which movie?
The Whiskey Tango Foxtrot movie. It was just it didn't help. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's definitely nice to have a logo that people are identifying with. You know, with the grenade, with the T5 in it. You know, and the name, you know, come from. Depending on when you served, you may remember that we used to be on Threatcons, not ForceCon.
Yeah, because I was started in 2010.
Okay,
so
it was a little before you. You had your Threatcon Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, and now it's, you know, ForceCon 1, 2. No, whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so I mean, it's what it is, addressing the threats affecting the veteran community. Over the last year, I've helped companies like US Vet Inc., which does a lot of work with homelessness, Operation 23-0, which obviously is fighting the soldier suicide issue, 22 Until None, 22 Kill, a new company that is starting a homeless program in Washington called the Forgotten Infidels. We just did a thing for them. Places like Reaper Customs, a veteran-owned company in Arizona that's doing a lot of work, like the country thing there. He also does some kneeling soldier stuff. So he's doing a lot of stuff. And all these companies that I work with are somehow helping the veteran community, whether it's making donations or bringing people in and stuff like that. I also work with a lot of other smaller companies or bigger companies throughout the country that are helping veterans with financial issues or, you know, rent issues or, I mean, which I guess is a financial issue, but, you know, it's more about the housing, you know, keeping a roof over their heads.
Impressive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, you know, here we go again, we're going to get into this. So what you have, okay, is you have a population of veterans that served during the last 15 years. Okay, and of those last 15 years, the majority of the soldiers, airmen, Marines, and Navy personnel that served in combat. Okay, there wasn't a lot of garrison time for them. They were in and out of a combat theater, so they never truly got to experience living on their own. You know, they were always either deployed or whatever. And what happens with that is you have a lot of leaders who develop through a combat environment rather than a garrison environment. So leaders and soldiers are now getting out, going into the civilian population, and unfortunately, you're supposed to be trained on how to develop a leadership skill to help a soldier or help a young private or whatever, and you don't get that opportunity. Sure, we know how to kick doors in, you know, sure we how to run convoy operations, but we don't know how to take a soldier who's dealing with financial issues and get them into the proper programs,
Yeah.
and because of that, they're suffering. You know, the leader suffered and the soldier suffered because they didn't know what was there for them. And that's why you have so many of them nowadays that are getting out and either are afraid to ask for help or don't know where to turn to because they were never given the, you know, the basic breakdown as to what options are available for them to help them out. And it's very sad, you know. And as you know, a military man or woman is a very proud individual.
Yeah.
They don't like to ask for help. They don't want the handouts. And I mean, it's good and it's bad. You know, we are a country full of people that think that they deserve everything to be handed to them. But our men and women who have voluntarily raised their hand and swore to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, I think need to begin taken care of better. And until that happens, it's going to be companies like myself and others that are going to be there to try to pick up the slack. So.